Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, and we return with more TNT Tuesday Night Titan review series. This is the August 16th, 1985 version. If you're new, we do have a playlist where most of the TNT stuff is gathered. I think there's a few that are strays, but we've done all of the program except for the one missing episode on the network and the year in review shows. So by the end, you're going to have all but 3 or 4 of the TNTs reviewed here. Hopefully, get that done within the next week or so. And also, like, subscribe, comment below if there's a series you want to see up next Saturday night main event. But after that, we're pretty well open. So if there's something you want to see, comment below. We'll get it done for you. In any event, we are moving quickly through the summer of '85. And this is a relatively nondescript show. Some minor storyline advancements, but nothing terribly major. Mean Gene Okerlund finds Corporal Kirshner in the jungle again. Kirshner once again talks about being ready for competition, leaving his other combat training behind, whether it's jumping out of planes, swimming through swamps, or doing other fatigue hand-to-hand combat training and other zany stuff to get ready for the hand-to-hand combat of the World Wrestling Federation. Obviously, and Sergeant Slaughter knockoff, as I've mentioned in the past few episodes. Tony Garea talks about going home and speaks about going to New Zealand, speaks about the beauties of the beaches and various things, talks about having gone there recently for the first time in several years, probably 6 or 8 years. Garea, of course, a multi-time tag team champion in the WWF, and then Paul Orndorff says that being out from under the tutelage of Bobby Heenan and out from under Roddy Piper, think about this, less than 6 months before, Orndorff and Piper were part of WrestleMania 1's main event, and now Orndorff on his own with a bounty on his head at the hands of Bobby Heenan, and anyway, so Orndorff really talking a great deal about how he is satisfied with the rejuvenation of his career. We then go to a squash match for Mr. Wonderful. The name of the combatant for Wonderful threw me off for a minute here. He then, the name is the Axe, A-X-E, and of course, those who know wrestling history know that Larry the Axe Hennig is a gentleman who was big in the AWA, so I wondered if the Axe was here, but that is not the case. Instead, this Axe is a rather little bit under-muscular fellow who is in the role of being an enhancement talent. Match doesn't go more than maybe 30 seconds at best. Orndorff does hit his pile driver before Roddy Piper does the run-in to try to attack Mr. Wonderful and get rid of him once and for all at the bequest of claiming the $25,000 bounty that Heenan has put forward. Orndorff talks about it, talks about Piper in a couple of interview segments. He says that it doesn't matter who it is, he's ready for anyone. He's watching his back at every given moment, and Heenan won't run him out, Piper won't run him out, no one is going to run him out of the World Wrestling Federation. Interesting to think that we're about a year away from the turn, maybe a little less than a year away from the turn that would lead to Piper and Hogan. Interesting to me that Orndorff really is a guy, 85 to 87, so he comes in as a heel in 84. He's a babyface by 85. He's a heel again by 86. Before the 87 Survivor Series, he's a babyface again, so he does a lot of flip-flopping over his WWF tenure. It strikes me as odd. It really does. He's gone by late '87 to get surgery on the injured arm from the wear and tear that the pile driver brought to his body, which Orndorff does have one of the better pile drivers in the sport. Thing of beauty, if you're not from that generation, worth going out of the way to see, because he was one of the ones, at least for the New York territory, who made that hold famous. Then we see the Hart Foundation with Jimmy Hart, Bret Hart, and Jim Neidhart. Of course, later brother-in-laws and family and future tag team champions here. And they're actually talking about being the ones to unseat the U.S. Express, talking about being the best team in the world. And oddly enough, I wonder, would history have changed had Dynamite Kid not gotten hurt in late '86 and drops the belt to the Harts for the first time in '87? Um, Curious about that, or maybe not. Hmm. No, I think the Harts had the belts going into WrestleMania 3, so maybe it wasn't as late as I thought. Maybe it was late '86. But um, anyway, the Hart Foundation, Neidhart, and Bret Hart are not in the pink and black attire yet. Instead, it's a black and blue highlighted attire. You can see though their tandem maneuvers are down pat, including the heart attack finish that they become famous for. That is present all the way back here in 1985. So certainly a big deal. Somewhere the contracts have transitioned away from Mr. Fuji for Jim Neidhart, and the Hart Foundation has been formed. Um, the Hart Foundations openly admit that they cheat upon occasion, but they really don't care. And then we go to a sit down interview with Terry Funk, the former NWA champion, who at this point many people thought was on his last legs. He had already done one attempted retirement in Japan, anyway, in 1983. Comes out of retirement relatively quickly, less than a year, I think, but shows up here in the WWF and has a run for, I don't know, maybe a little over a year before disappearing off to do some movie work and whatnot. Anyway, Funk plays cards and drinks beer and does things you would do at a saloon before we go to a match where he attacks the ring announcer. That is a very famous angle. If you haven't seen it, worth going out of your way to see. And defeats Paul Roma, one of the future young stallions here with a spinning toe hold. And Funk looks crisp in everything he does. He refers to himself once again as middle-aged and crazy. I don't think anyone would disagree at any point in Terry's career that he was crazy, and he's been middle-aged longer than he's been a young man, so anyway, worth acknowledging that. He does get into it with Tony Garea, who becomes a major opponent for him as they get involved in a bar fight, and Funk manages to nail him from behind. I had forgotten all about this until I saw it, and really, Vince McMahon puts it over the top as a very heinous action. If you've never seen that particular segment, worth going out of your way to see that Terry Funk, whether it's 1985, 1995, or 2005, or before that, before the TV era, or the videotape era anyway, was a big thing. Terry Funk could bring it no matter where he was, no matter who he was working. You never knew what was up with the Funker. But anyway, those are the things to watch for this week's TNT. Once again, the August 16th, 1985 edition. We'll be back to finish out August and move into September pretty quickly. Till then, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.